Okay, so a lot of this stuff, this is part of the process. It's kind of messy here, but you can see there's just a lot of different stuff going on here in this area. I don't have a office in the shop, so I work on a desk here in the corner. That's our support for our camera that looks over my shoulder. But I do a lot of these sketches to do visual communication with clients, especially before they're going to make a big investment like a 3D sandcar body or a carbon fiber body for the Range Rover. I go through here and we do as many, hey, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? Go through, rip the Wacom tablet here. Just go in Photoshop and I upload photos. I take some views that I need to, that make sense. And then I go on here. And this is first thing in the morning, but I'll show you what I'm working with here. Check it out. All right, so this is the Range Rover. We can go like this maybe. This is the Range Rover rear view. And then what we have here is we're working on the cross member. So you can see in the black is our titanium exhaust. You can see the pulley is highlighted there, which is, well, the tensioner. This is the power steering pump, which is located off of the chassis. We've already got that kind of dialed in. But the area of interest here for me is going to be, I want to get rid of this. All right, now there's a little mount here that, let's get rid of some more shit. Takes a little time to do this. Got rid of the engine. Okay, got rid of the chassis, or the body. Now you can see kind of what's going on here. So this guy, we have a bracket. So we have our cross member plate that we're working on. This is the rear side facing the engine. There's nothing too beautiful there. And then the front, see what's going on, right? So that's what's behind the exhaust. We're running a structural brace. That's the mounting point. Those two 12 points in there are the mounting point to the rear of the engine, which is the front of the engine. So this is the drive system. We have an additional pulley system that is going, it's got its own pulley on the crank, and then it's going up to our power steering pump, our radial dynamics pump. And there's a tensioner in there, GM tensioner. But what I'm after is design. Get out of there, man. Of this bracket. There's a little more work we can do to that bracket, right? So I'm gonna take some screenshots here of this area, because what I wanna do, I'm sorry you guys, I know I'm fumbling this around, it's probably super annoying, is I'm gonna make some of that shape draw into the aluminum work on this side where it draws in and it's almost part of it channeled in. And then same on the back side. This is just, Josh put this together, but I'm gonna start putting some really good shape into this thing to get it cohesive with the rest of the design of the Range Rover. I'm gonna have kind of a quarter pipe go up here. We know the plate machining is already gonna be this thickness because of the added portion here that's reaching out to the engine. So I know I can run this up and it's not gonna compromise the thickness of the plate from what it already was. So as far as like the machine, the start of the material thickness, because if it was completely flat, if this whole piece was like super flat, which it's not, maybe I can get rid of the chassis too. You can see there's quite a bit of shape in this thing already. So drawing out some shape into that portion is easy because it's already going to be done here. So I'm not starting to make more material cost or anything. But there's some pretty good shape here, and you can see that to honor the design in this, we want to probably translate some of that into this guy because this machine work looks a little too basic. How do I go back? Give me that one. That's a little too basic right there, and I'm gonna get these pockets, tuned up to match the car. If you guys want a reference, let's go look at the car really quick, and you can kind of see like design, you know, there's a lot more organic flow going on here. So we want to keep this going through the rear. What you were looking at was see, this is our temporary motor like mount right here to the chassis. So there'll be that cross that goes through the backside here, adds another pulley onto the crank here. And then, you know, it's also serviceable, so it doesn't go all the way down to the bottom or anything, so we can still get the belts out. And then it locates our power steering pump into this corner. Just again, you know, exercise on design. We want to keep cohesive on what we've been doing, so we just need to get flow in there. And I think there's just enough, just minimal stuff for Josh. He'll understand it. Baby.
Hey, say hi. What? Oh my goodness. Hi. How are you?
And then we'll be able to send this thing off to get machined. And it helps us because we really need the plumbing done for the power steering pump. So we're going to get it with this. This is a Wacom tablet. I think it's older. I got some images that I pulled off here, so I'm just going to drag one over. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to start super rough, right? I just have a panel open here. Wish I could get it really close like that. I have a ladder sitting next to me. It's very intrusive to try to get this right. What I'm going to do here is just start figuring out my shapes, and I sketch this just in layers. It's super sloppy. There's no clean way I do it. It's a little different now that I know you're watching me. Man. All right, I know this wants to draw up and the shape wants to go. Sometimes I have to do this a couple times for it to really feel good. You know, like that's the reason I do this on the computer versus doing it by hand, because if I do it by hand, it takes me a lot longer and I can't erase this quick and I can't go, oh fuck, I don't like that idea. Anyways, I do a lot of this just to get an idea where I'm not wasting a bunch of time trying to figure out design by hand and then, you know, go through a sketch. Of course, the hand sketches look better, but this helps me just be effective and quick. What the whole tangent I went on there is I don't just do it once, because part of sketching, at least for me, is not spending a lot of time on the details, but figuring out what my shapes want to be, so I can start to, you know, I narrow down, like, process of elimination on this stuff. I don't just, I have to get through a couple almost as like a warm up to get the information that I'm looking for. And sometimes I do these super dirty. Sometimes I keep my layers tidy. It depends on how complex the part is. But I want this thing to be more streamlined. I think we're gonna get it pretty easy here. It's a simple part, so. So you guys, this is my favorite thing to do. I like building stuff, but it takes too long, and with where I'm at with like design work and creating, I can create at the speed of a sketch. I don't need the time to think about it that is required for constructing these cars or building specific parts with them. I just need the speed of a sketch. And if, you know, in the perfect world, if I could just do this all day and not have to, you know, be building stuff, I would just sit and pump out designs for people. Something else I'd love to do is I'd love to do some freelance white label design. I have no strings attached to ego of it needing to be my stuff. I just want to help other people develop their designs, you know, and stuff that they're proud of. So I think a lot of people have great ideas on parts they want to build, and I think my skill, or at least something I found to be successful at, is making stuff look cool, functionally. And I think that I could help people just get their ideas looking cool. So this is just Dirty Bird sketching. I'm going same layer. And just alleviating some stuff here. I'm using the colors that are already on the sketch, so the surfaces make sense. Now I'm gonna look at this part too, because I wanna make sure that the pulley is not gonna get in the way. Yeah, I think we're still gonna get that. And then it's gonna kick that thing that way. Okay. I think we're gonna get that. So a little highlight line in there. That kind of does a weird thing there. Want more weight over in this area though. So I don't put a lot of value on this as far as shading and rendering. I don't think it needs all that. But I do need Josh to figure out, I see some constraints here that may be concerning. So that's why, you know, when I work with Josh, I'm gonna go through here. He's gonna get me, I'll give him this drawing back. And then he's gonna let me know like if this thing works, right? Okay. All right, get a little white highlight going on this stuff. New layer. I have just a couple brushes set up in here. So I made my own brushes. They are pressure sensitive. For example, brush pen, big airbrush, ballpoint. And then I have different erasers. I have a soft eraser, and then I have a dumb eraser, which means like just no, it's just you. It doesn't have any texture and it doesn't have any pressure. It just erases chunks. Very primitive, like Microsoft Paint or something. And then I have like an airbrush style eraser that fades out stuff when I want to erase it. So what I can do with this is I can give Josh this initial layout or shape, and he'll know what to do to tune it to get it to actually work. a little bit of a detail in there I want to handle. Whoa, dude. Let's get this going, okay. Show that corner is actually going past the cross member. There we go. A little bit of a part line probably. So all I'm doing is this, I call this visual communication sketching. So I'm just visually communicating design changes. So it makes it easy for me to go back and forth with the SolidWorks guy. Now what else I can do on this stuff is I can put part lines. So I can kind of see, not part lines, but like shape lines. So I can run this one, this. We know that's already stuff that's there. And then I can go up here. I don't like that one, so I'll go right to here. It's doing something weird. It's telling me something. All right. Cool. Do another one over here. I cannot get over that we have a little piggy. And she just hangs out. One of the things from battling addiction and alcoholism myself and conquering it, what happens, I think, for some people is your gratitude goes so hard. You never lose sight of it. You know, sometimes you have to pull yourself back to it. But your gratitude, just I'm so grateful for life and to have a chance at life and another chance. It could have been so much worse, and I'm just grateful. And I'm here to show up for whatever fights come about, you know. All right, show a little detail on this would be cool too. How do we do that? Maybe, detail this back out. All right, that's probably enough time on this thing. Let's get to another view. Turn around for you guys. Okay, doing this one-handed, so bear with me. Now, just as an example, so that's the shape. I have this thing where, you know, I want this part to come and index into this thing. Have some weight where it grows from just this flat part and it grows into the part. And then this bevel is kind of what we do through everything. It's just these nice, dramatic compound curves. No weird parallel basic geometry machine work. I'm gonna drag another part over here to show you exactly what we were doing here. Which one did I start with? I think I started with this. So we'll get a side by side really quick for you. So I'm shooting for that. You can see that that one was just mounted from the back side of the plate. And that's, you know, I want it to grow and go in, but if it can't, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna make him a secondary that's not as tall as this. That gives a different option because I am looking at these areas here. And there's definitely this here, and I know that's for the tensioner, and that's probably a set for the tensioner so it doesn't twist. So I'm gonna just grow this thing a little smaller and less dramatic and do the same kind of concept as this, but where it's not as profound, because if, you know, it's such a proud shape here, this might be an issue with the tensioner if it's swinging, you know, from the belt. So that is my grind. We got, you know, my team, and then I run all the design direction for all the cars. So we're not a shop where we can, you know, I can set a guy off, hey, build a bumper for this thing. Hey, build some kind of cool thing for this. It's not like that because our branding is so strongly based off design Everything has to have a flow and it has to feel a certain way because that's what our clients want. They want an MCD1 car that has style, very potent style put into it. And it speaks the same language. It's not just simple fab work. Nice fab work is totally, it's easy to do nice fab work. And I think there's a lot of people that can do it, and I love that. But what we stress is designer fabrication. Stuff that stresses design. But puts, you get it. I'm not gonna keep saying the same fucking thing. All right. I'm gonna start with white. So we're gonna go more conservative on this guy. Still gonna have it wrap over here. And then we're just gonna have it be mellow. And I'm gonna draw it, I'll probably draw it out actually. But I know this shape is doing something weird. So maybe I can just have it minimal. See, I can just erase so quick until I get that line that I want, because Josh will go in here and if it fits, he'll trace it right off the bat. So I gotta be aware of what I'm doing. So if that comes off, the next step is don't move the screen. Sometimes I move this thing like this. So I'm gonna work on keeping it here for you guys. You saw that highlight, right? So what I do is I just put a little bit of airbrush white into here. It's not like a glow from a light. And what it does is it lets me still see through. And then I go in, start a new layer. And I just chunk shapes out with the brush. I already have some of that started. I look at what we're doing here. Stop it. I know that I don't want to intrude on this space here. So if we're doing that, I'm going to start really mellow. And maybe I can even draw this shape out like this. How do we do this? I want this to go. So start the machine work, cut in, and then cut over, but keep it shallow. I think we can do it shallow like this. And that's gonna do what we need, but it's probably gonna show differently there. So if you want an example of what I'm talking about with the fog layer here, I'll go to like a erase, dumb eraser, and then I'll just chunk out where I want to be here. And then it highlights my part in a way where I'm getting a rough idea of the shape of it. Like I said, I don't use Photoshop for any hardcore tools. I just use it as a sketch pad. And that's worked for me. I didn't make it too far in digital design class at Art Center, because I dropped out of Art Center. So I use what I know, and that's it. And I'm sure for some people it's painful that know Photoshop. They're like, you are fucking retarded, dude. But this is what I do, so till further notice. Yeah, that's gonna want to be a delete too. I'm gonna get that out of here right now because that bothers me. Just to make this go away, so see the actual contour. Going right back to that, removing some fat off this thing. That's going to give us some kind of a knife edge there. Now we know there's a knife edge over here, so that's not going to be that way. It's going to come in. Okay. We're going up to this though, so be respectful of that. So that's weird. And it also wants to do what this is doing, so we'll do that. There we go, now it's mellow. Cool. Okay, so another thing too, I rotate the canvas because that's what I'm used to doing if I was drawing on like a normal piece of paper. Same deal. I don't ever draw straight. I have to rotate because my arm has a motion that's consistent, and to try to adjust that to the paper, it's easier just to spin the paper and let my arm do the same robotic movement it has to do. Maybe that's gonna work out. Okay, and then I could probably put a thick cut in there. Oh, that would be nice too. Okay, here we go. Just gonna hit another thing. Let's just get this chunked in. I think we should do, if this is gonna be mellow, so this has to start later. Finding people like Josh Frey, who's helping me design this stuff, they are so just, Josh has got it down where he's not just a numbers and an input guy on SolidWorks, and he kills it. Like a lot of this stuff you'd want to do on Alias because it's more of a surfacing thing. So that looks pretty clean unless I channel that thing somehow and make it grow up here. But I think that's too busy. I'm gonna keep it for what it is here. So let's just put value on top of this thing. So that's our tensioner right now. You can see I just remember there's a surface here, so I don't know how much this can grow, and I almost think it should even be less, because if this is flat and then it comes up here, I don't know what's going on. So either I draw that back where that hill starts later, or I just get it flatter, and I think flatter is going to be the better option. So I'm going to send that right now. So flatten it out. Let's just do something different for colors. We want that organic hit. Put that layer on top. Oh, we don't have to have that cylindrical. I think we can have this whole thing. Follow what he has. Follow what he has. Don't make those fucking rules. This is what he has right here. Just get it right, dude. My God. Sometimes I'll do that 20 times to get this the right line. Feels right. A little more natural into this thing. Let's get some of the shading right. So follow up with just the value that's already on here. You know what? Just airbrush. All right, don't over complicate it. Just handle it. Where we at? What's that all about, dude? Keep that there then. Part of the reason that I put, like, you know, I draw the line. Sometimes I detail some out more than others. But part of the reason that I do, all of the reason that I do this detail is to help communication. You know, the more I can express what my idea of this shape should look like to someone that's actually shaping it, that's the win to be had, where it saves time. Let's get these separated by some white. And then it looks like the rest of the drawing doesn't really show any highlights. All right, next thing I'm gonna probably want to do is show some like surface lines. New layer, please. I want to get a new layer. That's weird. I wonder why that doesn't work down there. I unplugged my computer from this thing quite a bit, and when I do that, it affects the windows. Yeah, it's not letting me select a new layer down there. That's weird. All right, so let's get some just general lines on here. And let's use a brush pen, actually a ballpoint. Ooh, that one's nice to pick up on. It's not going to tell me the story though. I want this story. Get up here, boom. Shallow, up to there, back up to the top. And get this guy going here, boom. All right, now let's show what's going on the sides. I'm ready to get to the back side already here. Stop trying to make it tighter. Okay, so let's show some surface too. We can do this one. So this can be that. That's actually going to follow this though. Well, that one's going to probably, come on dude. Simple cleanup. Make it easy on Josh. It's always nice to have better presentation anyways. We don't do napkin sketches, so let's get this right. Okay, some pretty good information here. We can go up to these layers. So we can go here, we can go here, boom, we got new layers. So something with Photoshop, I just reset it. All right. Probably put a small gradation on this guy. See what else this thing's doing. So highlight looks like it's coming. So highlight is here, so that means I'm gonna highlight here. I'll probably take this tone. I'll go here, boom, blast that, new layer. airbrush. And I'm gonna hit it like this. Do a little white hit, make sure the flow is on. It's probably not the same color as this highlight though. Okay, and I'll maybe hit a little delete on this before I do the next one. A little more of a highlight first. That's gonna do it. I'm slowly checking out of this drawing, so we need to get to the next one. This is probably gonna be its own episode just because it takes so long. And I don't know if you guys will enjoy this, watching me do this stuff. So I'm trying to kind of do it in a hurry. Not just to be effective on time, but also so you guys don't get too bored out with watching me do the same repetitive bullshit. All right, I'm pretty good with this program here. Let's get a little bit of a highlight going. It's not a highlight. This is going to be a highlight. We need white. Are we on white? Yeah, brush, welcome. Well, it's like you want the highlight, but nothing else has it. All right, get out of the view. Get out of the view a bit. Reset, there we go. Let's just be satisfied with this. A little highlight here, a little highlight here to make it interesting. Call it a day, add a little more value in there because I'm broken. Good. Probably okay. All right, check it out. So option A, option B. Same, but different. Couple different shapes there. You can see some planes. I'm gonna go back and touch some value into this so Josh understands, even though I think this is probably gonna be our win. Still don't like what's happening here. I gotta get this right. That's gotta be right. There's something going on here, but I get it. Let's see what it gets like in the drawing. I'm gonna give him a little more touch up on this before we move to the rear of this thing. We got probably 3 views. I like to at least do 3 different views to get this thing right. Layers on unnamed layers. Welcome home. Is 19 where we're at? Okay, 19 is not. There we go. 20. I follow this page on Instagram called like Designer Humor or something. And I've heard them like mention stuff about like clustered out layers and all this shit. Alright. Some value into this thing. So my dream, and I'm getting there, at least for the shop, is I want to be able to just, well, it's going to contradict some stuff, but I guess that's what I do. I'd like to be able to get to a point where my guys are super capable and my work is not so much physical work, but what I do is I take a picture of their project or whatever their workspace is going to be, like say it's a front shock mount, or it's something as minuscule as a bracket to hold a power steering filter on, something like that. And what I do is I take a picture of it, and then I go back and I draw 3 different views so they can understand it perfectly of what they're looking at. And I print it out and I give it to them and say, do you understand this? Yes, cool. And then boom, they're off to the races and they're designing this part or they're building this part that I've designed right there. And they're still doing it by hand, and it's still got all of our design direction on it. And I just keep doing that. So say there's 3 guys in here and we're working on, 3 different projects, then I'm just literally going through the cycle all day long of coming back, drawing. I'm like a step ahead of them, I go back and I'm drawing their next part and I start just stacking it. And because a lot of it is like build as you go. You can't just draw the whole thing out because some of it is specific to the next step. So I'd love to get something going like that, and that might be in a couple years, but I help them out. I draw all their parts and I'm just producing, and then I'm in this flow state where I get to just design all day instead of watch stuff being constructed with your hands. It takes so frickin' long. Like just hand-built fabrication work in general is it's a process, it takes time to build stuff by hand. The greatest, most crippling thing to me in life right now with skill set is not knowing how to design parts. Like, see, I'm still having to go through and do this. And, the optimal way to do this would be to know alias or know how to do surfacing on SolidWorks myself, so that I'm not having to do this process, going back and forth with someone else on their time. And I'm like, how do I have someone teach me the stuff that I need to know without having to take generic classes to learn a bunch of stuff that I'm not even going to need? I'm gonna make that a little darker. That's going to give some value right there. Let's do a little highlight. Get the fuck out of this one. Get on to the next one. Ballpoint's going to be rough. It's going to be so potent here. That's our pop right there. Oh, sorry. Okay. This guy goes here. Retain this guy, retain this guy. This guy's kind of doing his thing over here. I'm going to redo him. I'm also going to let that know if that's a shape. Now it'd be sick if Josh Frey hits a YouTube. Like I don't know if Josh has a channel, but it'd be sick if he fired back and then you guys could tune in with him and watch him take this and then take this and put this into a model. And that would be such a win-win. All right. Let's just do one maybe little hit. Dude, don't get, there we go. I think I just we'll do one little contrast bump. Uh-oh, there we go. One contrast bump on here. Part of my story, when I was younger, so I was one of the first kids, at least in Los Angeles County School District, to get accepted into the GATE program for art and drawing, which the GATE, I think is like, I forget what GATE stands for, is gifted and talented something. And that was in fourth or fifth grade. And I got into the GATE program. But what I was getting at is I had a problem with drawing since I was, old enough to hold a medium like a crayon or anything like that, or a colored pencil or a Crayola marker or any of those bullshitty things. I had an issue, and it was always at school. Like I would draw stuff for my homies, and then teachers constantly, Morgan, stop drawing. Morgan, you need to stop drawing right now. We're doing this. Morgan, you need to stop. And I was defiant with that, and I didn't stop. And we used to go to, my parents would get called in for teacher conferences. Not like parent-teacher day or whatever, but like they'd have to have meetings with the teachers and myself, like after school. What are we going to do about Morgan and his drawing? He won't stop. He doesn't quit drawing when we tell him to, when he needs to. And I did that my whole life. So my favorite thing, and a lot of like my older friends like Garrett and Kyle Young and the Vakas and stuff, and my wife Taylor, they all know me for drawing because it was my shit. Like that's what I used to do in school nonstop till the point where it was problematic. All right, this is gonna rip. Check this one out. Cool. Oh no, I want to go back over here, but let's see. All right, so that's our part. Now I'm gonna go back because I absolutely shit all over this one. I'm just getting into a flow. I'm just gonna put more value into this so we can understand it, but I think you can kind of see what's going on, right? A lot of these, like I know the light source is coming from here. So I'm trying to shine down the light source. I know the value of the machine work is this color versus this color. So I put that value onto areas that show that. And I could keep going and we could get this super realistic, but this is all we need. This side over here is gonna be just similar, and I don't need more ideas. I'm comfortable in this. We don't need to kick around more sketching. Okay, bring it over here for a second. Let's just get a quick hit on this guy. New layer. Airbrush black. Wow. That's gonna make it pop just right there. A little more value into that thing. That's gotta be a dumb eraser right there. There it is. All right, back to, or sorry, that was a soft eraser. Not the dumb eraser. All right, we're moving better now. We're moving faster. What's that? That's missing something right there. Let's tie this bitch back in. We were running a ballpoint, right, to tighten all this up. Yeah, that's bold. This is my first time with you guys doing this, right? So bear with me on getting it right. And I'm super open to constructive criticism on how we can shoot the content more. As far as how I do things, this is how I do them. I always stress that there's no wrong or right or good or bad on the process. So I'm probably just gonna keep doing things how I do them, you know, whatever works. But at least if we can think about how to shoot this better, I've thought about getting those glasses, but they don't capture for a long time. The other gnarly way to do it, let's see what this other one looks like really quick. Okay. The other gnarly way to do it that's a commitment is wearing a GoPro on your old cranium. I'm like, damn, dude, I don't know. I think about that, but it's just the comfort level of, you know, what's the trade-off as far as quality of life, shooting content on this stuff versus wearing that fucker on your head. I'm gonna send one of these on there too, a little bit of highlight. A little hit like this, a little hit like that. Now where this part meets up, there it is. This is gonna want the edge of this to show. All right, go back to what we had here for lines. You know what we could do? When Josh gets back to me on this, if we hop on a Zoom call, I'll get on with you guys. And we'll film a Zoom call, because that's usually what we got to do. All right, let's leave it alone. That's where we're at. So what I did here is I have this just set up where now I have tensioner attachment on here. I have option A. I have option B. And then I'm gonna load a new image, and what I'll do is I'll be able to stack a couple more. I'm gonna probably draw pretty big here, or I might even take these and I'll ghost them so they're not here yet, and I'll draw out so I have an open canvas on our new views. But I like to leave these on the canvas if I have room, so I can compare my design and my design language. Like if I'm working on the opposing side of this, not the front side, but the back side, then I wanna be able to see what shapes I'm working with instead of remember them. Sometimes I'll also sit here and I'll print all this stuff out so I can see it right next to me, or I'll put it on the secondary screen over there. What do we want next? Maybe just one example. Yeah, this one's a pretty good example right here. So I'm just doing this so you guys can see it better. I can probably crop it out as well. Give it one of these guys. Start fucking with this thing. So start fricking with it. Now what I have is I have information here that I know is going to be a little subject to change that I can incorporate into this so Josh can understand. Let's start with our whiteout. Now we're gonna go to white brush. I want this thing sunk into here. Sink it in, sink it in, sink it in. And then we know we're gonna go a little higher. So we're actually going into this thing. Now that I see this, I actually get to make a couple adjustments based on this. I don't like how that cuts in there, but whatever. Now we're doing option. So this would be option B. Alright. What's going on here? And how do we make this go away? I don't like that spot right there. So I'm gonna fill it in and see if Josh can get a better shape out of that. You know, I have to hit these details. We're invested in this car pretty heavy with how it looks, and skimping out on even these little parts. I mean, there is no point in doing that now. We're in it to win it here. So these things matter. This is part of what gets us into a car where everything you look at makes sense and it feels a certain way. I think we can have a cut in here now. So this thing got thicker. Let's chunk the frost out. Just so we have an understanding of our shape. I've had people ask a lot, like whenever I post some of this, either like just on, you know, social media like Instagram or something. What app is that? What app is that? Like there's an app that's doing this. And I'm too stupid to have an app that's doing this. I just do it all by hand. So big airbrush. Oh gosh. That's this. Golly. Dude, are we on that same layer still? Come on. Enough. Get off. It's starting to space out. Just go rip an energy drink. Okay, cool. We're back. Fuck all that. That all goes away too. Time to start not making sense of stuff. It's going to be a little low on information for Josh. Screwed that one up. So I have this like pocket over here that I don't know what to do with yet because I don't know what that shape is, but I just know it's not that. A little bit of a bug going on with the layer button. Chat says it is a bug from different reasons, but I'm gonna do what I can just to keep this going here and try not to do the same thing again. This is maybe enough information right here. I'm just gonna tune it up. Let's get this done. Quick, easy wins for value. Can you hit that really quick? Stop saying I'll kind of highlight our part, put it into a focal point. Boom, done. Add more of that to the resume here. Fine line, right? Don't render it. Just show the value. Just communicate. Don't render. I think with the Willys wagon, we're gonna get to a spot where we're gonna have a really good opportunity to do a lot of sketching for body development. And that's gonna be a time, you know, if I can get it in a flow to share all of this with you guys, that's my goal. And I wanna do that with the Willys body. So that's going to be a gnarly thing. I also have concerns about it because the front fenders and stuff, like what the wheels demand for compression, it's going to make some, right off the bat, seemingly goofy shapes for the front fenders. You know, we'll find a way to win, but I guarantee from the start, it's not going to be that way. You're going to have to really figure some stuff out. Liking the flow on this thing. Hopefully this translates. That brush pen almost goes a little too hard. Makes you really commit to your line. Ooh. Give me the brush pen, dude. It's too much. All right, let's make something good of this. Got a little more to go. Add a little value in here. Circular, Josh, circular. Get away from the geometric shapes. We're gonna need to figure out what goes on in the back here. A little more value. Get that one going. And then we'll get this one going. All right, let's keep going, you know. Overwork the work. You overwork it. Part lines or surface lines, that's the only thing we're missing here. So let's do like a guy here. Hey. We'll get one over here just to express what we're doing. This is the part right here too, so we'll get that going. Okay. What else are we missing? I think he's gonna get this. I don't know what's going on here though, but we're gonna figure that out. Put a question mark there. All right, I'm ready to send that like that. So that's the side view, right? Like we're looking at this, we're looking from this angle. We're looking from this angle. You know, this, we were looking from the kind of, that would be passenger rear. And then this is gonna be just passenger side, almost dead on. So I have enough information here. I'm ready to move to the backside. I'm gonna blend, I'm gonna merge all these layers so that I can turn this into an image and set it in here. This one might get every bit we need of information. Note the 3 bolts here. So this is the back side of this tensioner. The bolts will be hidden back there, so it's seamless on all this. Seamless here, but those capture bolts, 1, 2, and 3, maybe there's, oh, I see 1 and 2 are there, and 3. So 1 and 2 are 1 and 2, 3 is 3. So I wanna do, what I'm definitely imagining here is that this is dimensionally raised up. You can see this peg that is raised up, got a little quarter pipe hit here. I'm gonna get a big quarter pipe hit that's gonna raise all the way to index this thing in. It's also gonna be a functional measure because it won't let this thing move. It won't just be relying on the bolts, but it's gonna index this whole thing in, just like it is here where it's indexing into the cross member. So it's actually keyed in, like sculpted into there where it's locked. Even if there was no bolts, it wouldn't move except, you know, in and out. All right, let's draw on this thing. I moved everything over to the other side so I can, I'm left-handed, so working in this corner sucks. All right, add some shape. So we definitely want to add shape into this thing too. I'm gonna let Josh finish or figure out that top surface. But at least I can get this going. I got that all day. So we know we're actually gonna be this color. Ooh, I'm ready to go work. Come on. Gotta also talk to 2 clients about the HP 90s today. They're a wee bit pricey fully built. brand new and fully built. So it's not like an old core. But I believe the HP90 is going to be the coolest new thing for pre-runners. And I'm willing to test one out or two on our Selena project and Dolly. So one of those has about 750 horse and the other one is 1400. We're gonna see what these things can do. All right, so we know we're kind of getting a shape like this going on. Now that's an issue or a thing we're gonna do, definitely the softer eraser on. Put some flow control in there. There we go. I give the skid steer back to the neighbor too. Aye, aye, aye. So, go back to my dumb eraser here. So we know that's a pretty easy execution of shape. New layer on top. So now we're gonna go right up to that bevel on Josh's part. We're not gonna change this bolt location. We're just gonna get a little more of a nicer, nicer host for the part. So just to express kind of what shapes are going on here. Hope this kind of does what we're gonna do. All right. I don't know if we want to eat that can of worms to keep this going. That one's going there, that one's going there, that one's going there. Okay. New layer, a little bit of a highlight. Let's get a highlight going. Where do we want that highlight? In the core? Let's get a little core hit. Looks a little unnatural. Maybe we'll just do the top and leave it. There we go. All right. Now, let's get this going. You guys want to check it out real quick? So we're gonna lose some battery. I need to go charge this thing. Still not as much battery as I wish this thing could put out. It's either that or I run a cord over here and I don't even know if you can plug it in and charge it and film at the same time. So what I'm gonna do is I have some pretty sketchy stuff going on here to get this tensioner detailed. We have pretty much everything else. I also have this one over here that we were working on. I'm gonna move it back and tile it when I'm done. So I'm gonna get this chunked out and I'm gonna get back with you guys. I just need to get this thing charging for a little bit. I had to like sit here and rough so much in just to get to where we're at here. So it's a little more, it really is a little more rough than the rest of it. And that's fine. Nope. Alright, how do you want to do that? How do you want to show that? So that's a pretty steep indentation down into there. This guy doesn't want to be here, because that's showing the wrong thing. So what that is that goes there. It doesn't show it too much because it's finished. But we know that there's a choke change here. I know that these two surfaces are not the same. There is something breaking those down there, so that means I see that's off. I don't want that. That lame shit is that. Like this kind of stuff, not centered in here. It is what it is. Like I'm not stressed on that stuff for the drawing. So technically, probably just want to identify more shape into this area so he can understand. I can just run a highlight into there even though it doesn't match. I guess I can go darker. Oh, I like that whole thing better. I gotta get rid of some of this. Sorry. Be back soon. Alright. Now I'll play the same game here. We had a good color there, so let's get it again. Go to your swatches, or do it fluffy. This guy. That is wrong. That actually indicates something different. So if we want the value to be different there, we just need to match it with a like-minded value that's consistent. So it's already there, so then we'll highlight the rest. Almost there. I think we just need one more view. Now, why am I doing so much this time? So I don't have to do more later. This is gonna get me really established with Josh, where he's gonna understand this, and I can let him rip, and then I can go about whatever I'm doing. Gotta be enough information, right? A little white hitter there. Top of the layers. Brush. This part, let's say this one's to reflect. A little bit of a highlight here. Where do you stop? Where do you stop? Where do you stop? Where do you stop? Oh no. Oh no. Oh boy. little fling on the bolt. Oh, we're gonna add a little highlight. Reset the view for you guys. So pretty good visual communication stuff here. I don't know if it's going to show you the screen all in a nasty way, but you can see we have A and B over here. So we go 0 and zoom out. Yeah, it's not going to let me do that. Probably has the best value. I think this is my favorite one if we're going to just talk about raw sketches. But there's enough here. I'm going to mow through a couple more images here. See if I need any more information conveyed. Feel good about it. So this is just a quick little session. You know, again, if you guys want to see like what we started with, I could do a side by side, but let's just do like what do we want to open up here. So we had this guy that we threw into 2 different options to keep our consistent shaping. What's going on here? Can I delete this, please? Cool. You know, we had the backside guy. Open up, please. Thank you. So, you know, we have the comparison there. Can we just put those on the top layer, please? So, shape into there. But I think we got it. So you get the idea. The reason I started doing visual communication sketching is specifically for what is called visual communication. There's, when you want to do something bold and you don't know how to express, everybody can do the talking with your hands. It's going to look like this. It's going to be here, and this is going to be here. And the issue is everybody's interpretation of that is different. It's not an actual communication tool. It's a verbal communication, but when you're building a physical object, then you just tell them, oh, it's going to be this, and it's going to be here and this, and here's a napkin sketch at most. You are in some very gray areas where the client and yourself are not able to have a mutual understanding of the final end result. You know, same with sandcar bodies. Doing stuff like this is what I do for any big thing. So I can not only share, like this one's for Josh Gray to make them, you know, use the machine work in the modeling. But, you know, a lot of it too isn't like an instrument panel or something. You know, these are big investments into the client. The best scenario is you present them with something that they can understand. Visual communication works no matter what language you speak. As long as you can see, you can understand. So what I do is I, you know, with at least like say the sandcar body stuff, I propose something when I'm drawing it. I draw it only within the constraints of what I think I can build, because that's the other issue. I don't want to draw something so extravagant that I can't build it. With stuff like this, the machine work, then I can pivot into a different area, because these 5-axis machines can do a lot more than I can do with my clumsy ass hand. So, you know, I got into this at Art Center taking visual communication classes. And I started it out of necessity with an old F-150 that we were rebuilding. You know, we called it the Exotic. Not that exotic I'm thinking about now, especially with a big welded cage inside and stuff. But, you know, I was proposing this rear fuel cell area to the client, and I not only needed to understand how it was going to look myself and how we were going to move the shapes around and where we were going to put the cells and the tires and all that, but also like when you start going into that, that is not just a back half. That is something, it's a sculpture. The financial side of that, it's going to cost 5 times as more, you know, 5 times more than a typical
simple tube layout on the back half. So you want the client to know what the investment will look like and be comfortable. So I did that and I pitched it, and we worked through it, and then we both had an idea. Not only did the client have an idea for what he was getting, but I also had a blueprint for what I could build, so I'm not just winging it as I'm building it. All the fabrication, the big stuff, I mostly design first, so I have a blueprint for myself, even if it's just in my brain, and it makes it so much more streamlined, even if I'm building by hand, where I know what I'm, like, this is my concept, right? It doesn't have to be exactly what, that sandcar body is going to look like, but I know that is what I want it to feel like, and I'm going to get it as close as I can. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I don't know how this is going to be put together. If there's ideas you have for watching this stuff and how we should try to shoot it, let's do it. The other thing might be like a screen recording, but you have to understand too, like, how do we make it simple on myself where I can still be effective during the day? It's not my hobby. This is my career, so I can't take a lot of time out of the day to do something extra, because that's my time and it's not on the client, and then it uses up my day. So we have to figure this out in a way. When we build the Blackbird will be more involved, because that'll be all out of pocket for me. So I hope you enjoyed this. This is our process, and it's not going to be the last time. I'll come back and we'll just keep sketching more stuff on the computer as needed.